let's be real, this weekend, TakeOver Brooklyn 4 makes SummerSlam look about as appealing as a warm glass of ketchup. Let's talk about NXT. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your August 15th NXT review, Go Home to Brooklyn review. Let's talk about it, but let's talk about the house cleaning first. And I'm sorry, guys, I hate to ramble. There is a lot of house cleaning. First and foremost, rest in peace to the late, great Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Really, really shitty news. I mean, a couple weeks ago we had 3 guys pass away in one weekend, and, you know, there's the old expression, you know, bad things come in threes. Well, didn't really work out this time. There's nothing I can say here that hasn't already been said. I mean, they did the tribute on Raw, they did the tribute on SmackDown, they did the small little graphic here tonight on NXT as well. If you want 2 guys, I always say this when a wrestler passes away, if you want guys that are going to have a more intelligible memoriam type way of looking at things and being able to look back on somebody like Jim the Anvil Neidhart, I do suggest you go to somebody like an OK Fabe or why can I not think of his name right now? Good Mic Work. Go check out those 2 guys. I know Good Mic Work did a pretty long stream on YouTube during SmackDown or after SmackDown, whatever, and I know a good portion of it was Q&A about SummerSlam, but I know he also had some thoughts about Jim the Anvil Neidhart, so go check him out. Also, good bit of news that I got today, potentially, after 7 years in LA and 4 years in Brooklyn, potentially, next year's SummerSlam is going to be in my backyard of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Now, if that's the case, I'm going to be going to TakeOver. I'm going to be going to SummerSlam. I will be going to Raw. I will be going to SmackDown. I'll be at TakeOver, which means I'll be at that weird sort of live NXT episode that they do before TakeOver. It'll all be very good. So let's cross all of our fingers and hope that the dirt sheets and what they are telling me isn't wrong. If that happens, obviously, any of you that end up going next year, love to see you guys. Love seeing you guys at the Destiny shows. I unfortunately will not be able to go to the Destiny show that's happening in about 10 days here in Mississauga at the Don Kolov. Unfortunately, a conflict in my social life has prevented me from being able to go to that, but I will be going to Raising Hell 2, which is in October, I think. So if you're going, let me know. If you're going, you want to buy me a beer, you want to buy me a freaking Smirnoff, because that's more likely than a beer, obviously. It's all good. The few of you that I have met, it's been really, really fun. I wish I could remember some of your names, but I'm an idiot like that. So it is what it is. If it is your first time checking out this channel, check out the annotation up above, because there's a whole lot of stuff you could talk about on the topic of SummerSlam and on the topic of TakeOver. We will be doing the pay-per-view pick 'em for SummerSlam and for TakeOver, hopefully tomorrow night with myself, Kristen, and Guapo. Basically, come in, give me your picks, rank your picks. I keep score on the night. There aren't any prizes or anything like that. Just come along, play along if you want, and if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. I have started a playlist for this year's Mae Young Classic coverage. If you want to go up, like I say, in the annotation and check that out. We had the qualifying match last week between Vanessa Bourne and Tainara Conte. What I didn't realize is Vanessa Bourne lost the qualifying match that happened to air on NXT 2 years in a row. Maybe she should get the hint. Anyways, they also did the Parade of Champions, which, as I said in the introduction of that video, was a whole lot of me talking about people that I'm not too familiar with. Unless your name's Madison Rain. Oh, yes. The Off the Cuff series, we got a new video up in there as well. Kristen and myself did our own fantasy booking. We booked our own Evolution pay-per-view. That was a lot of fun. Go check that out. It was really cool. There's previous NXT reviews, a couple of movie reviews, hoping to do more soon. There's the Q&A. I will be doing the Q&A some point over the course of this weekend. If you want to be part of that Q&A, throw your questions in the comment section of the last Q&A. It's all good. That was all the house cleaning. We are 5 minutes into the video and I haven't even talked about this week's NXT yet. NXT for August 15th, like as I say, the go-home show for TakeOver Brooklyn 4. Starts with a replay of everything concerning the main event. Now, I will say, last week, I did talk about the match between Gargano and Black. I did talk about the interference from Ciampa. I did talk about William Regal making it into a triple threat match. What I did not do was go on WWE.com to see how they were addressing the thing that we've all already known for months, which is Aleister Black's legitimate injury and the fact that he's not going to be in the match, and the fact that it's going to be Gargano versus Ciampa again, which is all good. Now, the way they've decided to do it is, you know, he was jumped in the parking lot, and it's a really the way they've spun it around. I'm sorry, I'm sort of twitching on my words a little bit. It is it's a bit tired in here tonight. I'm not gonna lie. The way they've spun it out, and it's like, well, we don't know. We know Aleister Black isn't standing, but we do know we need one champion standing on Saturday, so it's going to be Gargano Ciampa last man standing, which is great. But what I don't like is they're doing the whole WWE's going to have an investigation, and it's going to fuck off. You could just have it that, you know, hey, Ciampa wanted to better his odds, so he blasted Aleister Black in the parking lot. The whole investigation, and they're going to come up with somebody totally new and random if WWE is anything that we know with those particular cliches. It's like who attacked Teddy Long, you know, who blew up Vince McMahon's limo if Chris Benoit hadn't actually passed away, which is kind of shitty. You know, who hit Austin with the sledgehammer, all that sort. And it ended up being Rikishi, didn't it? I don't want there to be an investigation. I don't want there to be a sort of a kayfabe, you know, who done it. Like, we don't need that. Not in NXT. It's way too gimmicky. But bottom line is we're getting a last man standing match between Gargano and Ciampa at TakeOver, which is going to be fucking fantastic. And that alone, the two men's singles title matches at TakeOver are going to blow away anything that happens on the main roster. And yes, I'm including Ziggler and Rollins in that. Yes, I'm even including Samoa Joe and AJ Styles in that. Yes, I'm including the return of Dean Ambrose in that. Yes, I'm including, you know, yes, I'm including Daniel Bryan and The Miz in that. And you guys know how I think of The Miz. But we started off tonight with the Street Profits taking on the Mighty, which is great, except for the crowd from the beginning of this match to the end were chanting Mighty Jobbers at the Mighty, which, I'm not going to lie, made me smile a little bit. Ford and Miller started clubs to the back by Miller, double team by the Mighty, and a double mudhole stomp in the corner. Headbutts by Thorne, tackle by Dawkins. I'm sick. I'm sorry. I know it sounds really gross, but whatever. The Street Profits hit the Black Panther Splash. There's a whole lot I could say there, isn't it? But I would let it go, because it is a pretty decent move. It's like an assisted backflip splash thing. But then you got Percy Watson on commentary that screams out like a fucking mark, Wakanda forever. Fuck off, Percy Watson. Oh, yes. See, we got rid of Byron Saxton and brought in Renee Young on Raw. Remember when Renee Young was commentating NXT? Those are the good old fucking days. Leapfrog axe handle by Ford, counterstrikes by Dawkins, back of the head lariat by Thorne. I don't know why I wrote that. It should say lariat to the back of the head by Thorne. But it says back of the head lariat by Thorne, because my writing sucks, guys. I'm really sorry. Mounted punches by Miller. Miller rakes the face and chokes on the ropes. Double back suplex by the Mighty. Chinlock by Miller. Boot by Dawkins. Spinebuster by Miller. Corner lariats by the Mighty and a front slam by Thorne. Hot tag to Ford, and he gets lariats for everybody. Back elbow. I should start the video again, because this is how bad my writing is tonight. Back elbow, boot, and a sunset flip by Ford. There's a pinning reversal sequence between Ford and Thorne, and it made everybody laugh, including me, because both guys had the other guy's tights, but Ford does get the better of that equation, and the Profits get the win, and they stay in the crowd, and they do the whole, like, dancing with the crowd. I do have to say, there was one kid, had to be, like, 8 years old, in the audience, in a fucking Bailey jacket, doing that little, like, stir-it-up dance that the Street Profits do on the way. I mean, that made me laugh, and they gave that kid a spotlight for a couple of seconds. You know, they brought the camera over, and they brought the camera over at the end of the match too, to focus on the black Solo Cup that is on the steps there. I don't get that, but the match was good, and like I say, the Mighty are really starting to win me over. Miller and Thorne, I mean, they just had to get rid of the soccer jerseys, didn't they? And the, you know, the generic bland good guy stuff. But I mean, at the same time, Street Profits are fucking awesome, and I hope they get a title shot soon. Backstage, we see Shayna Baszler giving some advice to my hometown girl, Aaliyah, because Kairi Sane takes on Aaliyah in the next match. Now, Aaliyah's whatever advice she got from Shayna Baszler didn't do her any favors, because she was a ragdoll in this match. This was an exhibition for Kairi Sane, and Aaliyah was a fucking ragdoll. And I'm gonna say the same thing I said on Twitter about Mandy Rose a couple days ago. The way they use Mandy Rose on the main roster drives me nuts. The way they use Aaliyah on NXT drives me nuts, because I've had the opportunity to go to NXT house shows, and I've seen both these girls put on like fucking decent 20-minute matches, and we're not seeing that. We're not seeing it from Mandy Rose on the main roster, which doesn't surprise me at all, because it's the fucking main roster. The fact that they're doing the same thing to Aaliyah in NXT is depressing as hell. But Kairi Sane versus Aaliyah, Baszler on commentary. Collar and elbow tie-up in a shoving match to start. Cheap shot by Aaliyah is basically all she gets in. Head scissor into a Brock lock by Kairi Sane. Series of strikes and a takedown by Aaliyah. Running neckbreaker by Sane. And another one. And an interceptor. Sliding forearm. Insane elbow. And another one. And another one. Pin. Pulls her up to taunt Shayna Baszler, locks her in that new anchor submission that she's got, and she gets the win. And I really thought there was going to be a brawl between Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane, but that just didn't happen whatsoever. We see a video, we saw a brief promo in the back from the Undisputed Era. Now, on the one hand, I love the way they do these promos, because it's just like locker room talk. It's just four guys in the back talking shit. But at the same time, it means I can't really talk much about it, because there's not any actual substance. It's just like, well, you know, these are our opponents on Saturday, don't they suck? Which is fine, and it's real, but it's not very much for me to bite into as far as coming up and talking to you guys and doing a review of it. But we do see a video package, and it sort of serves two purposes, really, because the Undisputed Era debuted at Brooklyn last year, so they've been here a full year now, so they got to sort of highlight everything the Undisputed Era have done from TakeOver Brooklyn 3 till now, but it also served to give us a recap of everything between Adam Cole and Ricochet, including the beatdown that Undisputed Era gave him last week. It's all good. We're serving a lot of masters with one freaking segment. Velveteen Dream comes out to cut a promo on EC3. You know, they start cheering him, but then it slowly transitions into NX3 chants, which is great. Velveteen Dream pretends they're still cheering for him. You know, it's funny that you cheer me. You guys are all funny. EC3 is also funny. He thinks he's smart. He thinks he's charming. He had my curiosity, but he made a couple mistakes, and now he has my attention. And this Sunday, it's going to be Dream over. EC3 comes out, and the very first thing he says to him in his promo before they actually talk about the match on Sunday is, "This is what it sounds like when doves cry." And kids, if you don't get that reference, ask your parents. Not only that, we get a little bit of a rock kind of vibe from EC3, because everything he says gets a chant from the crowd. You know, when Rock was cutting his promos on John Cena and he said he could get Cookie Puss trending worldwide, and it happened. Well, when he came out, he said, "This is what it sounds like when doves cry." The crowd started chanting "Doves Cry," which is fantastic. And then he stops his promo mid-sentence to say, "Hey, sick fanny pack, bro." And the crowd starts chanting "Fanny pack." It's all good. He says, I know what you're doing. You're trying to get in my head. You're trying to take up space in my brain, but I'm going to take up space in your brain. And although that property isn't very valuable, I'm going to make it a fixer-upper on Saturday. Which is, and they do this long and prolonged real estate metaphor, which is kind of cool. The time to talk is over, the time to fight is now, and I will claim victory after victory. And then the crowd chants in after victory, after victory, after victory, after victory. Eventually, he takes his jacket off. Let's not wait till Sunday. They brawl for a little bit. EC3 stands tall after hitting the 1%er. This is going to be a great match. This is that one extra match that a TakeOver always has, because we've known for a while, I mean, we didn't always have the North American title, but we used to have the UK title. It used to be a match for every title and one extra match, and that one extra match usually has a different element to it. The element with this is these guys are both cocky as fuck. You could call them both heels if you wanted to, but realistically look at this and think who the bad guy is supposed to be in this, because I really don't know, and that's really intriguing. And in a year or two, I could see this same match being for the NXT Championship. Obviously, I think Adam Cole and a couple of other people are in line ahead of these two, but it's still pretty fucking good, and it's going to be a good match. EC3 is over as fuck. I mean, Velveteen Dream has been over as fuck for a while, but the way he came out and cut his promo tonight, the way every single thing he said became a chant. And like I say, the only comparison I really have for that is The Rock. And if the only comparison I have for you is The Rock, you're doing something right. This match is going to be fantastic on Sunday, and I have to apologize once again because I am in fact losing my voice. We see another video package on the history between Ciampa and Gargano. I mean, at this point, if you don't know the history, you haven't been paying attention. But WWE is always good with their video packages, etc. We get the announcement that next week on NXT, that weird live NXT that they do before a takeover, is going to be Pete Dunne versus Zach Gibson. And for those of you that saw the WWE UK special, you'll know that that is a rematch from day 2 of the WWE UK show, where Zach Gibson at that point got a shot at the UK title. He's getting another shot at the title next week, which is all good, which means the live crowd in Brooklyn get to see another title match, which is fantastic. Roderick Strong versus Tyler Bate is our main event, sort of building towards the Tag Team Championship match at TakeOver. And, I mean, up until the end, there isn't really... There's a couple instances, I'll just say it now. There's a couple instances where Kyle O'Reilly and Trent Seven get into it on the outside, and there's minor distraction here and there, but it's not even enough to affect the match. I do love in their promos, sorry, I didn't mention this earlier. In the promo earlier in the night, they called him Trent the Beast Seven. Again, any of you out there watching who don't know who Dan the Beast Severn is and don't get the reference, ask your parents, ask an older wrestling fan, etc. You know, I think, wasn't he part of the Lion's Den match with Shamrock and Owen Hart and all that shit? Anyways, boot by Bate and a corner beatdown and a back body drop. Corner uppercuts by Bate, a high knee and a backbreaker by Strong. Strong drops his own knees to the midsection. Mudhole stomp. Both men trade some punches for a while. Modified sleeper by Strong. Backbreaker by Strong. Seated abdominal stretch by Strong. Headbutts by Bate. Corner chops by Strong. Top rope facebuster by Bate, followed by a top rope uppercut. They trade some more punches. Exploder suplex by Bate. Running star press. The running star press by Bate. How fucking pretty is that? Airplane spin and a head scissor. Boot and right hands by Bate. Back elbows by Strong. Backbreaker by Strong. Running forearm by Bate. Suicide dive by Bate. I love the suicide dive that the British guys do, and I hate to generalize a whole group of people, but I will. Because the suicide dive that the British strong style guys do isn't pretty. It's not the kind of suicide dive you're going to see from a Johnny Gargano or an AJ Styles or a Ricochet or a Daniel Bryan or anybody like that. It's sort of random and haphazard, and it looks sort of devil may care, and that is the true nature of a suicide dive, in my opinion. Now, the stuff that Johnny Gargano and all the other guys I mentioned do is phenomenal, and no pun intended, because AJ Styles was in there, but it's just... it brings such a different feel to it with the guys from the UK, because it has much more of a reckless image. Anyways, backbreaker by Strong, running forearm by Bate, suicide dive by Bate again, enziguri by Strong, right hand by Bate, and a rolling kick, and a Tyler Driver 97 for as close to a clean victory as you're going to get out of these two. Bate wins as we go off the air. That is the last thing we see, is Tyler Bate getting a win over Roderick Strong, which, if you know your WWE unofficial rulebook, means they ain't winning on Saturday, are they? Anyways, I said it at the beginning, I'm going to say it again now. Take anything you want. Take anything you're looking forward to legitimately at SummerSlam and compare it to Velveteen Dream versus EC3, Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler, Mustache Mountain versus The Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Bebe versus Ricochet, Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in a last man standing match for the fucking NXT Championship. I dare you. Tell me anything on the SummerSlam card that competes with any of that. I am so fearful of all the names I just mentioned. When they end up on the main roster, they're going to end up like the Ascension and the Authors of Pain, and it's just going to be sad, isn't it, Asuka, who hasn't been on TV in fucking time. Anyways, that's about it. As I said, join us tomorrow night for the for the TakeOver and SummerSlam pay-per-view pick'ems. Hope you guys join in the fun. As I said, check out some of the other stuff that I've left up in the annotations up above. We've done a lot of videos in the past couple of days. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.